Okay. Yeah, the recording is started.
It's a happy Wednesday. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Robotics Basic Python. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, you're welcome. And for those of you who are looking at the recording, thank you so much for taking time to have a look at the recording. You're at the right place with the right people, on the right platform, with the right team. If you have any questions regarding today's session, please don't hesitate to email us on i-set@unisa.ac.za. Please don't forget to follow us on our social media pages, which is iSetLego on Facebook. On Twitter, we are iSetLego Unisa. On YouTube, we are iSet Unisa. We also have a MOOC portal where you can get our recordings. I'll share the link shortly on the chat box. And for those of you who haven't participated on the MOOC portal, just be patient with us. We'll be attending to your queries in a short while. Without wasting time, I'll hand over to Casper for the house rules.
Thank you so much, Tamila. Welcome again, everybody, to today's session. We only have a few small house rules for today. We would like to ask everyone to please mute your cameras to save data and bandwidth. Also to mute your microphones, keep all the background noise to minimum. If anybody has a question at any point in time, please feel free to raise your hand. And as Tamila said, these recordings are available. They are on our MOOC portal. And then I'll hand over to you, Tamila, for the MOOC portal introduction.
The MOOC portal introduction. Before I do that, I would like to find out by the raise of hands or just by typing on the chat box, who here on our participants is not yet registered on the MOOC portal? I know that yesterday it was Ongamanzini. Yes.
I think maybe let's alert the team or the participant that Dr. Host is a bit delayed, so now we're going to start with the MOOC portal. Then once she joins, she's going to take us through the Python presentation, so that Dr. Host will be delayed consistently as soon. So Tumelo will be starting with the MOOC portal. And from there, we can engage together for those who still have challenges there. And later on, Dr. Host will come in and join us with the presentation of the day of Python. Perfect. Okay, continue to that.
Thank you, Kabala.
Bonga Manzini, did you manage to register on the MOOC portal yesterday?
Yes, I registered yesterday. Yeah, it worked.
All right. Okay, then please just check on the poll. Anyone? Thank you so much, Bonga. For those of you who haven't registered on the MOOC portal, kindly please submit your answers on the poll so that we can know who hasn't been part of this and do a lot of follow-ups as well. So far, 3 participants have registered on the MOOC portal. All right. So as you have seen there, this is the link for the MOOC portal. For those of you who are watching this for the very first time, you just click on Unisa mooc.unisa.ac.za/portal. This is what you will see. Underneath the Unisa logo, you will see a welcome, how to register, site browser, new account, reset password, and help. So I'm just going to show you how to register for a MOOC portal. So immediately when you click on how to register underneath welcome, there's a PDF document that has instructions on how to register for a MOOC. On step 1, you need to go to the UNISA MOOC portal, which is where we are at the moment. Like I mentioned, this is the link. Step 2, you need to create your own MOOC account. So creating a new account, you will need to create your own user ID as well as fill in the following details and create your own password. As soon as you're done creating those, step 3 will be now for you to enroll for a MOOC. Enrolling for a MOOC is what I will now explain. Like I mentioned before, when you've now registered created your own user ID and your password, immediately when you click login, this is the page that you'll see. So
Hello.
the page that you'll be seeing there, this is what you have to do. You need to click on membership underneath UNISA. So when you click membership under UNISA, this is what you will see. Because I already am registered on these following sites, for you, you won't see these sites. So what you'll simply do is just simply go to joinable sites. When you go to joinable sites, you look for iSet Robotics, whether M1, M2, or M3. You see that M3 was posted yesterday. So as you can see here, when I click on iSet Robotics M3 2022, this is what I'll be getting. And this will be the first page that you're seeing. Please note that the aim of the M3, or whether M1 or M2, the aim is to equip educators, robotics coaches, students, facilitators, and community leaders. It is to coach and mentor teams of learners in robotics and to explore and discover the wonderful world of robotics. Please note that M3 follows M1 and M2. So meaning that for you to enroll for M3, you should have at least completed M1 and M2 MOOC. The MOOC consists of 4 online units. Each unit presents the learning material. Additional materials are also included and recommended. So without wasting any time, I'll ask if we do have any participants that have challenges experiencing this. If you do have any challenges, please don't hesitate to email us. I see we've got Alpheus with a question. Go ahead. Alpheus. And I had Dr. Hulse as well. Eh? Your microphone is unmuted, but we cannot hear you, Alpheus.
Yes, I was saying we are not audible enough so that we could hear what we are elaborating on. Thank you.
But are you registered for the MOOC portal?
For the 001, DBE 001.
Yeah, no, not M1, M2, M3. There's
No,
more. There's more.
No, I'm still busy with M1. 00.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I'm still busy with M1 unit 1. Is it unit 3 and 4? I'm not sure. The last portion that was included last. Okay.
Awesome.
And I also see Bonga has a question again. Go ahead.
I don't see M3. I only see M1 and M2 on the MOOC.
You need to go back to join. Oh, sorry, Tumelo.
So if you're not seeing robotics M3, you need to, like I mentioned, let me just share my screen quickly. So if you don't see it, meaning this is what you have to do. you need to go to, okay, this is my home. You need to go to membership, then you go to my current sites. And then if it doesn't show, no, it won't show here, of course. You need to go to joinable sites. So when you go to joinable sites there, you need to scroll down and look for it. That's option 1. Option 2 will be for you to type it here on the search tab. So on the search tab there, you just click on iSet, I-set Robotics MC, and then click on search, and then it will show you. I hope that covers, but welcome, Dr. Rose.
Thank you, team. There's really good teamwork here. We're trying to keep everything afloat, and I really apologize that I'm late. But it's good to have everybody, and it's good to have such a large class for a school holidays. So the recording has started, and I will upload the PowerPoint presentation for you onto the M1. Under M1, I've created, under syllabus, I've created a directory, and I will put all the PowerPoint presentations, and I will also put all the Jupyter Notebook pages. I'll put that up there tonight. Okay. But what I would like to do in the remaining time is just kind of show you some programming. And yesterday we did numbers, and today we're going to do strings. And hopefully you've all installed the Jupyter Notebook or Anaconda. The installation details are also there in that directory on the M1 MOOC. And then you can download the page, which I'm going to, of examples, and then you can use it in your version of Jupyter Notebook that's installed on your computer. All right, so let me just go. I'm going to share my screen as always, and let me just show you a little bit of Python programming using Jupyter Notebook. All right, so we're going to share my screen. And all right, and then I need the voice just to say yes, they can see it.
Yes, Dr. Hossa, I can see. We can see.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. I am just going to. So yesterday, when we were busy doing it, and in this little space here, we said that if A equals 5 and B equals 6, then total equals A plus B. And then if we want to print the result, we say print total. I don't know whether you remember that part from yesterday. We were working just with numbers. So if you now say, if you're on this rectangle and you say run, then the answer is 11. And then if you change that value to 8 and you say run, you can obviously get a different answer. It's 13. So with very limited programming, you can actually start getting results. Immediate feedback. If you make a mistake and you call this totals and you try and run it now, it's going to say, oh, there's an error because totals is not defined because total hasn't got a value. You said total and totals is not the same thing. So immediate feedback, and this was the numerics that we were dealing with. And then we said yesterday, but if you hard code numbers into your program, it's kind of a little bit less useful because rather than if you ask for an integer value and you say input, let's go, the first, let's just go like this. First number, I've got it like that. We put it like this, and then if we say this, the next number is also an integer, and we ask the user input brackets, take away the 8, next number. So if we have two numbers, then we can, oh, I can't spell today, number, and we can take this as a number and you can space it, you format it nicely, all right, like that. And so now if we run that, then it looks, oh, no, we've got a mistake here. Where is it? Oh, it's in out, it's input. That's wrong. And then there must be a second bracket here because we've got a bracket missing. All right, so there we go. You see, that's what happens when you work too fast. All right, so the first number will be 34 and the second number will be 12. And then ta-da, our answer is 46. So that makes the program a little bit more useful. And what we said yesterday was you've always got to, as good programming habits, you say, what is your input, what is your processing, what is your output? And if you have that system going, then it's all the better. All right. So that was adding numbers, adding actual numbers like mathematics. Okay. Maybe we should do some Python mathematics as well. That's a good idea. All right. So we'll add that to our list of things to do. what we're going to do today is we're going to do strings. So if you say my name is Patricia and my surname is Goos, then the total must be my name plus my surname. So if we run this little program, then you're going to get Patricia Goos. But now we need some spaces there because that doesn't look good. So if we say, okay, but we're going to add a space in between. All right, because now remember we're adding strings of characters. So if we run that, that looks a bit better. Okay. Now we can also say, but what about your initials? So if you say my initial for my second name is equal to an M, okay? Oops, it is like M, then you're going to have space plus my initial plus, and then another space. All right, so now if we run it, you see we just concatenate. You don't add strings, you concatenate strings. So now if we run it, oh, we've got an error. Anybody want to help me where my error is? Anybody? Anybody?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, can you see it?
Yes, yes. I can see the error that was close, but
what is it?
Let somebody else do this one.
No, man, Casper. Anybody?
Oh,
Anybody can...
yes, we have a hand from Abonga. If you want
okay,
to.
what's the error? What's the error?
You forgot the L in my.
Yes, very good. We're really going to have
prizes in my initial.
There we go. We're going to have prizes for this class. They're so wide awake. There we go. All right, so let's run this again.
You forgot the L in my initial. You wrote initial, not my initial.
Oh, it's M initial. Oh, my word. There we go. There's my. And look up here. It should be my. Ha. Bingo. All right, let's see whether that runs. Run. Bingo. There we go. Okay. So you can see that when you put strings together, you concatenate it. All right. So what would also help is if you have a little bit of explanation to say your full name is space, comma, like that. All right. So now if you run it, doesn't that look much better? It's much more readable. Okay. Everybody with. So what we're doing today is just on strings, and if you can get the basics. So here is the weather. It may rain, and today it is raining now. And so the forecast is weather plus today. So you can predict what it's going to say. It's going to say, it may rain, it is raining now. Okay, so that doesn't look good. So maybe we need to put a capital here and a capital here. Okay, and maybe we need a space in between, like that. Okay, so now if we let it run, it looks a little bit better. What do you think? You're getting there. You're getting there. All right. So what happens with strings is you normally get numbers that you've got to put into a string. Okay. So like this, it is the first day of the month and the year is my year. So if you run it like this, then you've got 11. My day is 11. My month is 11, and my year is 2020. So it'll say it is 11th day of the year, 11th month of the year 2020. All right. So, but you can see either you put the digits inside your string, or you can get placeholders. So this is called a parameter placeholder, and that's another placeholder, and that's another placeholder. So either way, it's a way of doing it. So let's run this program and see what happens. There we go. You see, you get exactly the same. Oh, that's only because there's a space there. You get exactly the same string out. Okay. What you can do later is we can say, well, if the day is 11 and the month is 11, then it must be the 11th day of November. All right. What you could also do to change this is say input the day. Oopsie, let me just go here and input the day. All right. And instead of saying 11, you can say input month. So much fun coding is. All right, now if you run it, now you've got input, processing, and output. So your day is 11, and your month is 11, and then it's 11th day of the month. Oh, my word, what happened here? It got all mistaked. What else did it say? Okay, the format. A string is required. Now what are we going to do? Anybody want to help me here? So now we need to have an input. So we're going to input here, integer value. And here we're going to have an integer value. And then the year is 2020. All right, so let's have a look if this is going to work. We run it now. The day is 11, the month is 11. There we go. Cool. So now we've limited to integer values, and then it works like that. Because we formatted here, there is a percentage D, percentage D, percentage D. All right. So that's a good way to play around with it. What you can eventually do is say, well, if it's the 11th month, then instead of writing month 11, you can say that must be November. Right. But that's the next. We'll get to that. All right. Here's another example where we use the user of input string values rather than coded values. Okay, so here again it's integer of the day, integer of the month, and integer of the year, so that you can have 3 integers. You see there 2020 we didn't have as a value. All right, and over here it's exactly the same. Input. Okay, so here we can say input the day of the week. Okay, so it's either January, February, March, day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All right. So there again, can you see how we started an example and we just keep building on it? All right. Now, here is the fun part. So now we say, sometimes we need to change the value of the input. Okay. So if I input a string, we can either have the original string, we can put it all into what's uppercase goes to lowercase and what's lowercase goes to uppercase, or we can take the string and change it to uppercase, or we can change the string and change it all to lowercase, or we can find the length. Okay, so what we're dealing with here is we've got strings and then we use functions. All right, so let's run this. Let's have some fun with this one. All right, so we say here I am, and I am wondering what to enter here. Question. Okay, so if I enter that, okay, so if the original one is this one here, okay, that's exactly how I entered it. Okay, the next one says, all right, everything that's capital we put small, and everything that's small we put capital, just because we can. Here everything is uppercase, easy peasy, and here everything is lowercase. There we go. All right, and then it says how many characters do we have? We have 48. Now, if you count the characters, you will see that it counts the blanks as well. Okay, so what you could do is say how many actual letters are there? This is the length in characters, including the blanks. All right, that's a cool thing you can do. So you've got all these functions that are already defined in your programming language that you can use to manipulate your strings. Okay, another one here is where we say, what is the first string? What is the second string? Okay, and so we just called them S and T. I don't know why, but anyway. So what we say is here, print this. What does it say here? Print the string S 3 times. You can say print it 5 times, print it 10 times. Okay, and here we say print the combination of joining S with T, not concatenating. Okay, so what does this matter? What does this mean? All right, so the first string will be today. That's our first string. And our second string will be yesterday. Okay, so let's see what happens. So it says print S 3 times. That's today, today, today. Print the combination of, so it takes S, which is today, and puts it into the string T. So there's the Y, the E, the S, the T, the E, the R, the D, the A, the Y. You got it? Cool. So that's just a fun thing of doing it. You will see eventually how we're going to use this in our problem solving. Okay, here's another one. First you input a first string, and then you work out the length of the string, and then you count the number of times that the letter A occurs from the space 0 to the space N. So let's run this here quickly, and we're going to say the string is, this is today. Okay, and we're going to count 1. Okay, so what are we counting? The count is T is the count of the times A in your letters. And how many A's are there? There's only one. Okay. So if we run it, if we change this and say, okay, how many times does the letter T appear in it? And we run it again, we say, today is the day that we celebrate. Okay, now count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer should be 5. Let's have a look. Bingo, the answer is 5. Okay. All right, so here's another one where we partition something. Instead of putting things together, we partition something. So we're looking for where is it partitioned with a space. So if we run this and we say enter the province and the country, so it's Gauteng, South Africa. Okay, here we go. All right, so the province and the South Africa, and now we interchange the province and the country, so it's South Africa, Gauteng. Okay. It's all about strings. Okay, so strings and string manipulation. Here we did use strings as input, we use strings as output. Here we used an integer value, and that was our example. Here we have 2 strings, we put them together and we print it out. Here we input a integer and an integer and a number, we put it all together in a string output. Okay. Over here, also again, integer values and put it into a string. Over here, we take a string value, okay, and then we change its format, either into original string, or we swap its case, or we play with uppercase and lowercase, or we find the length. All functions that use a string, okay. Here we can multiply the string 3 times, which means we repeat it 3 times. There we combine strings in a certain order. Here we count the number of times that a character appears in a string. Here we can partition strings. This is all about the manipulation of strings in Python programming. Okay, so I'm going to just pause now. And any questions, anything that I can change here that you want me to test? Anybody?
Okay. If anyone has a question, please feel free to either raise your hand or unmute, or if you have some mic problem, please put it into the chat area.
So every time, thank you, Casper. Every time we write a program, so S name equals Python and S subject equals anybody's got anything to ask? Programming, so S total equals S name. But I'm just busy typing here and I'm thinking there's a problem here. And if you print S total. So this work. Okay, it is. If I'd left the S away there, it will not, it'll give me an error. No, it doesn't.
Really, I really like her. She's very, very kind and she works very decent and she's just overall a very nice person.
Can I help? And is there a question there?
No, I don't see anyone.
I'm wondering why this is giving me an error here, not giving me an error. Interesting. Let's clear all outputs. Start again. Okay, let's have a look here. Yeah, I thought it would give me an error. There we go. Thought there was something wrong there. Run it again. There we go. Much better. All right.
And as host, we have a hand from Eric.
Yes, Eric. Hi. Hello.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Sorry, I was just on,
Yes.
my mic was off. You know what helped yesterday was you zoomed in a little bit on the screen and it just
I can
made
do
it a
that.
bit more visible.
Okay, I can do that.
And what you're experiencing now, yeah, that's better.
Okay, now you should have told me that right at the beginning, Eric.
I was also playing around in that the Jupyter notebook is actually available online as well.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was also playing around and trying to make errors just like you now, and I also was getting no errors. So obviously it is a thing.
Okay, so if you go here to the kernel and you've got to clear all outputs.
Okay, and then it just clears the cache. Or, okay.
Yeah, I think it already had an answer and it wasn't giving me a new answer. That's what was happening there. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I just want to try it again. If I just take it like this, in theory, it should give me an error. You see, it doesn't. It's weird. It's very strange.
Anyway, thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Yeah, you see, now it gives me an error after all that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Here we go. That's still not. There we go. Much better. Okay. All right. So maybe I do need. I'm going to stop sharing then. Maybe I do need to hear how many have actually. Thanks for sharing, Eric, that you actually tried it. How many others have tried the Jupyter Notebook for yesterday's numbers, and then for today's strings? It's very important that you grasp the difference between the different data types. I know our time is very short this week because it's only a 3-day week, but it's really important. That's why I've decided to first do numbers and first do strings, so you can identify what the difference is, and then assigning it to variables. And the trick of programming is always to make sure you have input, you have processing, and you have output, and that's just how it is. Yeah. All right. Anybody want to add anything? Otherwise, we're going to carry on. Should I carry on? I'm just looking here. Anybody? No more hands up here? All right. Nobody. Okay, so maybe I should just carry on then. I'm going to do the next session, but up until now we've done the sequential programming. So this and do that and do the next thing. But just like when we did with the EV3, with the robotics, we said there comes a time when there is flow control. And flow control is about either you do linear, which we've done up to now, or you do decision making, or you do looping. All right. So I'm going to actually start the next session. Let's have a look whether we can do that. I'm going to just get out of here. Okay. And the next session, which is actually part of tomorrow's session, is where we use a repetition. Maybe if I share the screen, you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so let's just have a look here. All right, so in programming, very much like we have in robotics, there's sometimes where you can do repetitions, and this is session 3 of this. And I will put this all up on MOOC 2, on MOOC 1's special little temporary site. So what we do when we repeat, there's 2 structures that we use in programming, either a for loop or a while loop. And the difference is the for loop, we always know exactly for how many times we have to repeat it. So you'll always say for I count in the range 1 to 11. So it'll do it for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4, for 5. Okay, so we're going to let this just run, and we say there has to be a control variable so you know exactly how many times you're going to repeat this. And for this case, if you run this program, it's going to repeat up until 10, and then when it gets to 11, it says 11 is the getting out number. All right. So if you change this to, let's just change it to 5, and we run it now, then it's going to go from 1 to 4. Okay. If you put this number from 4 to say 12, then it's going to run 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 11. Correct? There we go. Okay. So that's the you repeat it a number of times, and you know exactly. So for the for loop, you know exactly how many iterations are known beforehand. There's a control loop, and it's tested at the start of every loop. Okay, so you can do it multiple times. Okay, so here again, we have the I start. You can use a variable. So here we said I start is 8. So instead of putting a number in there, we just say from I start to 11, and then you print it out. So if you go here and you run it, it'll go 8, 9, 10, and not 11. Okay, so if you change I start here to 3 and you run it, you're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. You understand? Awesome. Okay. So now what happens is, still with the for loop, we're going to go for loop, but instead of going incrementing it by 1 every time, we just increment it by 2. So now we know the range goes 2 to 11. So it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But it goes up in counts of 2. So we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. Let's see whether that's correct. We're going to loop it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right. So that's a good way of getting all even numbers, say less than a certain number. Again, it's a structure that we're going to implement in our programming, and it's looking very good so far. All right. So let's have a look. What is going to happen here? Now we're going to go up the for loop. All right. So we're going to go from 2 to 3. And what is this? 4 and 5. Anybody want to give it a guess? Anybody want to guess why do we have 2, 3, 4, 5? Anybody? Anybody? No. Okay, so let me run it and let's see what happens. So we get 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it goes 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the 4 numbers that it's going to run for. Okay, it's only going to run 4 times, and it's for those specific values. So now we know. So what's going to happen here? It's going to run. It's going to send out number 34, 99, 44. Okay, excellent. Let's have a look. There we've got it. Okay, it's going to run 34, 99, 44, 11. And those are the 4 numbers for which your for loop's going to run. Okay, everybody got for loops. Okay, it's all controlled. You know how many iterations. This one you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations. All right. This one we counted 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations. Okay, here we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5 iterations. Okay, so now we've got a different kind of looping, and I've put this here with a lot of no's because you do not want to go to an infinite loop. Okay, the problem with an infinite loop is it just goes on for infinity and it's not going to stop. Okay, so here you said I count. That's why I've coded it out here. I'm not going to ever let it run because it's going to mess up the whole system. I count is equal to 8, and so it says why I count is less than 10. We just print I count, ding, ding, ding. So I count's value doesn't change. Do you understand? It's not going. It's just going to go. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, because you haven't changed I count's value. All right. However, if you have this number, you say I count starts at 20. So we always have to initialize, increment, and test. Okay, so there we are initializing, here we are testing, and there we are incrementing. Okay, so we initialize it to 20. We test what the value is. Is it less than 10? Yes. Then we increment it by 1 and we print it. Okay. Okay, now we're going to increment it by 1. So there I count is 20. We increment it. Is it less than 20? No, it's not. So let's see what's going to happen. It's just going to, the loop is done. Now what happened there? It skipped right over the loop because I count is less than 10 and we've already set it to 20. If we made this 2, right, and now we run it, well, then we're going to get 2, all right, incremented by 1, print it. And then we're going to keep going in this loop until it's less than or equal to 10. All right, so it was equal to 10. We still increment it. We then print it. So there you've printed 11. Now we go up to the top and says, I count less than, no, it's not less than or equal to 11. So it jumps out. And here's the indentation. That's the indentation we talked about last week. No, not last week, last session, yesterday. All right, where you say, okay, so we're going to, but you must be able to read your code one after the other, and then you'll be able to understand what your code did. All right, let's have a look here. Now we initialize. Okay, now we have to test. So here is the testing. All right, so we said I count is equal to 8. I count is less than or equal to 10. Yes, then we increment it, we print it. Okay, goes through. What is the answer going to be? So it's going to go through at 8, becomes 9, and prints. Okay, and then it goes through it as 9. Increments 1 is 10, less than or equal to 10. It's still equal to 10. We go through, we get 11, and then it's going to come out. All right, so let's have a look here. Here we go, 9, 10, and 11. Okay. Okay, so let's read some more code. Okay, here again, we've got 4. And it says for the session in sessions. So we've got 4 types of sessions. We've got Python, we've got Basic, we've got Advanced, and we've got Cyber. So what is it going to print? It's going to print each of the session values in sessions. So if you print this, let it run, Python, Basics, Advanced, and Cyber. Excellent. So remember we said we just can modify the strings right in, or actually the previous session too. So now we take session, okay, because it's a string. We've made it into title format, which means we take the capital letter of the first letter, and then we concatenate it with, was a great session, really learned a lot. Okay, so we're going to get this. Let's print this out. And if we run it now, Python was a great session, really learned a lot. Basics was a great session, really learned a lot. Advanced. So now you can get a much better print out. You know what's going on. All right. Okay. So now something also, if you want, there's only one line. If you want 2 lines to be repeated, there's one line and there's another line. Okay, but now we've put a new line on that. So if we print this thing now, you see we're going, it's a great session, skip a line. Was a great session, skip a line. Was a great session, skip a line. So we've added some spaces. Okay. All right. And the last example, here we go. I count is 200. If it's less than or equal to 100, we print that in loop or out loop. And unfortunately, I forgot to clear the answer, but we're going to go to out loop. It's going to go to out loop. All right. If we've made this equal to 20, all right, and then run it, we would have got in loop, in loop, in loop. All right. So this is about looping, where we're going to. So here's some examples for you, which I'm going to upload. So write a program that counts, that prints from 1 to 10. 1. And then you write a program that counts from 10 to 1. Okay. And I think you need to do these examples, and then we'll come and discuss it next week. No, tomorrow. Let's do some of this programming tomorrow. I'm going to upload these Jupyter Notebook pages. See whether you can write this program, and then we will discuss it at the beginning of the session for next week. Okay, so there we go. We've done strings and we've done looping, which is so we've done two data types. We've done strings and numbers, and we've done 2 flow controls already. We've done linear flow control, and we've done repetitive or looping flow control as well. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Are there any questions before we end the session? Any questions? I'll load up all these PowerPoint presentations up onto the M1 special portal. Ah, Eric, yes, you have a question. Yes.
Well, it's more of a comment, because the other thing that you've added to your list, which you haven't mentioned, is actually a list, and that's a whole nother ball game. So
Yes. We're just doing strings and numbers. Yes. And
but
so
the last 2 examples were you were looping through a list. So yeah.
Quite right. So on the continuum of data types, you have numbers and you have strings and you have booleans. You're quite right, Eric. And then you start getting structured data types. And so indeed, there's a structure called a list. There's tuples and there's sets and there's different collections of data types. You're quite right. Yeah. I was trying to slip it in so that we could just, yes. Well done. Well spotted. Okay. And it's important when you program to know that we're not just doing it. There's actually, it'll all fall in place. Hopefully it'll all fall in place tomorrow. But you've got to start with the basics, the numbers, the strings, absolutely, and the looping. And then tomorrow we'll do decisions. Yes. And yeah, I don't think we're going to have time tomorrow. Maybe I'll show you just what the difference between loops and tuples and sets is. Yes, absolutely. All right.
And maybe first I can show what happens when you try to integrate Python with C++.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we're really getting advanced here now. All right.
Yeah, that's yeah. Trust me, it's a pain, that one. Trust me.
Okay. Yes. So, and I think that's where we're going with this Python. Everybody's got to start doing some programming, but the possibilities are endless. Absolutely. All right. So it might feel a little bit of a rush, but I think we've done a lot, and I'm hoping you've got grasped the concept. Please try at least do one of those examples on the Jupyter Notebook pages. I will upload them onto the M1 portal, and you can go and have a look under syllabus. They should be there, but at least try some of the examples. Okay. Right. Anybody got anything else to add? I prefer adding. I prefer that we have a discussion and you tell me what you understand, what you don't understand, what I need to do to go repeat over it. I will gladly go over things again. So maybe bring your questions tomorrow and let's see whether we can address some of those questions. Right. Who's closing the session for us today? Who's volunteering? Cabela, you volunteering?
Thank you, everyone, for attending today's session, and for Eric for such an engagement. We like to see the same interest coming from all the participants, and until we meet each other at 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much, indeed. Thank you, and we'll see you at 4 o'clock. Go and get some coffee quickly. Thank you, team. See you now. Bye.